Hello everyone and welcome to another tutorial with UDevOps. In the previous tutorial, we discussed about conditional formatting and I showed you how to run different conditional formattings on your Excel. And in this tutorial, I'll be telling you about how to create your own rules just like I promised. And to get straight right into the point, let me go ahead and clear rules because I did some rules here. So let me just go ahead and clear rules entire sheet, and so we have it back. So basically we can create our rules from the existing Excel to apply to whatever we want it to do. So let's say we want to create a rule for different let's say on the salaries. Now we want to create a rule to help us identify prices at different ranges and all of that, salaries at different range rather. So simply we make sure before we do that we highlight the column that we want to work with, highlighting this column, and we go to our conditional formatting and click on new rules. Now it's going to bring this dialog box with so many pre-formatted ways you can do it. Format only cells that contains, just like it's trying to give us rules from what we have before. But we can use a formula, which is the whole essence of creating our rule, because we want to create it to fit a certain criteria. So we can go to use a formula to determine which cells to format, right? And go ahead and use a formula. So when we click on use a formula, we have to go back and highlight the cells we want to select, right? So we go back and highlight this particular cells we want to create the formula on, and note that it's giving us a $sign in between the selections of the column fields and all of that. So we go ahead and remove every appearance of a $sign. Now, why are we doing that? If we don't do that, there's going to be an error and it's going to affect it later. So it's better you remove the $sign, because the $sign means it's trying to treat the formula as a different entity, whereas we don't want to treat them as different entities, but as collective entities together. So we do that, and what we want to do, we want to find out, let's say we want to create a rule for wherever any salary is greater than, let me see, 45,000, right? So we put it greater than 45,000 and we go on to click on format. So now in the formatting, we can change so many things. We can change the number, the type, but we basically don't have to touch the format of it. We can choose to change the font, maybe make it bolder, or whatever I want to do, change the font, make it bolder, make it regular, make it italics, or we can come and add a border, a certain border around that column. But basically, since we basically want to just deal with colors and something that can make us identify it faster, so I would suggest we go with just changing the color. So let me choose a good color, let's say yellow, which is something we can see very well. So let's say yellow. So we'll go ahead and click on OK. And after that, we click on OK. And we can see that everywhere that has a value greater than 45,000 is turning yellow. And that is how we have applied that rule to it. Now, let me do another example for age without highlighting, just to show us and emphasize on the effect of highlighting a rule before going ahead to edit it. So let's say we want to change, we choose a conditional format, we want to set a new rule, and of course we want to use a formula to determine all the ages that are greater than 30, for example. So I can come back here to formula and highlight all, just like I did. Go ahead and try to remove the $sign, just like I said, to not have any error coming up. Removing the $sign, removing the $sign, and we want to see where they are greater than 30 and clicks on OK. So we'll come to the formatting, we say let it be maybe green this time, or blue this time, and click on OK and click on OK. We say that doesn't work now, like the first one. That's because it's trying to tell you that you are not selecting any place for me to apply the rules. Though in the rules, we still selected where it should work, but we didn't start we did select an origination rule base. So we have to first highlight and select where we want the rule to take effect before going ahead to create our conditional formatting. So we can go back and click on new rule, use a formula, go back and highlight the place, go ahead and remove all our dollar signs. Go ahead and remove all the dollar signs. Say we want to find where they are greater than 30 and format, give it that same blue, click on OK and apply, and we'll see that everywhere that is greater than 30 is now highlighted. So that is how you do your rules in your conditional formatting, creating rules. And you can go ahead and edit rules. You can go ahead and manage rules. It will tell you this is the rule for the current place you have selected, for the current column. You can go ahead through this place and choose for this entire worksheet, and it will tell you all the various rules you have applied. Mind you, this first one that you did, this was the first one that we did that didn't have any rule. No, this one was one that doesn't have any rule applied to it because we didn't select. Then we can go ahead and choose to highlight, and maybe we'll delete the rule, and we'll see that we can also go ahead and choose to edit the rule if we want to change the value. Maybe you don't want it to be greater than 30 again, maybe you want them to be those that are greater than 31 or so, and you click on OK and click on apply and click on OK, and you see that the rule has changed. So that's just basically how to change the rules. And you can also choose to edit the rules, maybe delete the rules rather, and or create a new rule for different columns and all of that. So that's basically how to set your own rules and take mastery of your own Excel sheet, having set your conditions and work with your conditional formatting. So thank you. That will be all for conditional formatting. See you in the next video where I'm talking about charts and how to create different charts in Excel. Thank you. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another tutorial with UDevOps. In our previous tutorial, we just concluded the conditional formatting and how to create your rules for your formatting for your Excel sheet and your data set. So in this tutorial, I'll be showing you about how to create charts. Now, what are charts? Charts are basic representation or visual representations of data in Excel. So charts help you to give a more concise and visual representation of what you're doing. And well, before now, you should know what charts are. We have various types of charts, we have various types of graphs and all of that. So if I go ahead to over to our insert panel, right, or insert menu, you can see the charts we have under the chart section. You can see various types of charts and all of that. If I click on these, we can, okay, let me click on recommended charts. You can see, okay, all charts. Now if I click on the all charts, you see we have different type of chart: the column, the line, the pie chart, the bar chart, the area chart, and the map kind of chart, the stock chart, the surface charts, the radar chart, tree stamp chart, sunset chart, or histogram, and so many different chart, box, waterfall, funnel, and all of that. Now, there are different conditions that warrant using each and every of the charts, right? But for this Excel tutorial, I'll just be showing you some basic things. Now, first thing, how do you go about it, right? The first thing we need to do is to highlight the whole of the chart, of the data set rather. After highlighting or selecting the data, the chart, you go straight to insert, just like we are, and we have charts, and we can choose any chart we want to use. Do we want a column chart, maybe a 2D column chart, 3D column chart? Let's start with a 2D column chart, right? And we click on the 2D column chart, and we'll see that it has generated a chart for us, right? So let me just move this back to the title move it back to where it is, and it has generated a chart for us, right? Can we see now? And this is just a brief example of a chart that we can create with this, and with this we can go ahead and see that okay, these are the lines it is creating and all of that. Now we'll be telling you about quickly how to format your charts. All right, so when you have a chart like this, we can discover that this chart is not very is not displayed very well, because we have some values that are small along this line and we have a larger value, and that is because when we were selecting our chart area, we selected everything to include even this end of the year total and total per item total, which is very large. And so because of the largeness and the size of the data that are given here, it had a very big discrepancy in this. So how do we do that? To select some things that we want and some things that we don't want in a chart. Now to do that, we use the filter menu, chart filters here, and we'll click on this funnel like shape stuff, filter, and we can see that we have the total items per month. We can uncheck that, and you can also come down, scroll down and uncheck end of year and click on apply. And after we apply, we see that the chart is more evenly distributed now, because those two are not applied, and we can now see the real differences between the chart. So with this, you can choose to remove any value you feel you don't want. You can choose to say, okay, maybe want to remove all the larger values to only find between the small, or want to remove all the smaller values to only compare between the large values. Like if you look at this data very well, the ones that have the large values are paper, manila folder, and then 3-ring binders. At least they have over 100. So we can even say, okay, let's remove the other ones that are not there, and click on apply. So we are only plotting between these three. We're only plotting between paper, manila folder, and staple binder. And we can see the discrepancies between them and see that okay, at every point in time, this guy comes, paper always comes first. At any point in time, at the second time, the larger one is manila fold compared to the third one, which is usually oh, I think even 3-ring binder still come. Okay, yeah, 3-ring binder is the smallest. We can also choose to format the colors and say, okay, we don't like it, it's a little bit too bluish and bluish. We want to change the whole font color format of the stuff. We can choose on the style here, choose the color we want. We can choose the combination of different colors we want and see, okay, we want something that is more combinatory. Let's use this that shows different colors so that it will be easier for us to demarcate and know that okay, green stands for paper, orange stands for manila fold, and 3-ring binders and that. And once we are done with this, we can choose to copy out this chart and come to another sheet created here and paste the chart here. Now pasting the chart here gives us one representation of what the chart looks like. And we can also come back to the chart here and change the view of the chart, right? Still on our insert, right? We can choose to change. We can choose to change the design of the chart. Say we don't want it to be in a 3D column now. We can change it to a 3D column. We can also choose to change the different all charts. We can choose to change it to maybe a line graph if you want. Choose this line or this type of line. Maybe I think I prefer this one. You can choose to choose a line graph. Click on OK. Make it a line graph this way. Choose to copy it and paste it. Maybe let's say they want it in an organization and you don't know which way to represent. You want them to choose the most preferred representation, or for different data set, there are different representations of data, right? So you can also choose again, you can also choose to come back to your chart again and see. You can also right click on change chart type. Oh, sorry, I was going to do that. Right click on it and change chart type. Changing your chart type, you can choose to make it a pie chart if you want. Click on a pie chart and click on OK, and it tells you the chart, although this is a bit scattered because this can only pick per uh per per entity, so it's picking for paper and giving you the paper distribution per month. So pie chart, you should understand the types of charts that can be good for different types of data sets. So a pie chart may not be accurately okay for that. A clustered bar graph, let's see about that. That also works. You can choose to copy it out and come to our chart sheet and also paste it out. All right, copy it and paste it and also drag it down and come back to that, and let's have one more chart type. Let's have one more chart type. Let me see which one can we use again. We've used column, we've used surface. Okay, we can use a surface. Now this type are usually used for those that deals with geographical locations and all of that. Those that deals in geographical analysis, they will be very good at using these types of chatbot. Anyway, what's the bad thing? We can also change it again and choose column, make it like a 3D column kind of, right? See this type and choose OK, and we have it, and we are going to save that. So basically that is how to go ahead with charts in data analysis. In your data set, you can choose to work with your graph, and you can choose to give your boss either of all these graph columns. Say, okay, boss, pick which one you want and let us work with it. I say, okay, no, I think I prefer this first chart better, and we can choose to go with this. So those are just how to just represent your work in a chart. And the other things you can do to this chart, like you can choose to, if you come to this plus chart element, you can choose to put your chart axis title. You can rename it to whatever you want to rename it to. You can choose to call it maybe my chart, your chart, whatever I want to do. You can also come add maybe data labels. Data labels will label each of the data. Sorry, for that to be very visible, let me change the chart type back to a normal line column, and we can see that it's giving you the values, though it's a bit scattered because the values are a bit clustered. So we are doing that and changing that now. So we can choose to label the graphs and give you the value of the graphs, and we can, let me deselect that. That is a little bit too scattered. And so there's just so many things we can do with that information and all of that. So that's basically how to create your graph. So you try it out, create your graphs. Let me see where you have an issue with it, and we can all come in and see how we can help out and get it done. So thank you very much for staying on this tutorial with us. See you in the next tutorial where we'll talk about how to clean data and how to clean your data set. Thank you very much. Hello everyone, and welcome to the final and concluding aspect of our Excel tutorial with UDevOps. Now, this is one of the most important thing to consider for me in the whole of this tutorial series, because this is actually where we get to see how to put some of those skills to use. Now, today's tutorial, we're going to be talking about data cleaning, and data sets, when it's been delivered to you, comes in various formats and various typographies, just like I have tried to explain and establish that with you before, that due to different formats of different data entry officers and all of that, they get to mess up data a whole lot. And it's your job as a data analyst to first prep and clean up the data set to ensure that the data is well fixed and arranged before you begin to work on it. Now, you might be a data analyst interfacing with database, and because of the format of the database construction, when you want to work on it with SQL and all of that, it might be difficult to use. So the first thing you have to do is you have to format and clean up your data in order to give you accurate results. Now, if you look at this data set that we're using, this is a data set about our past presidents of United States of America and all of that. But mere looking at this, we can see that we have a data set where this is written in proper format. We see this is written in small letter. We see this is no caps, and so many mix up and all of that. We can see on this prior column, we see that there are lots of data sets that are irrelevant. They are duplicate data. We can see on this vice that they are all scattered and arranged, and we can even see that in this salary is appearing in currency format. And all those things are things that can mess up and destroy your database whenever you want to upload the data set to your database. And that is why data cleaning as a data analyst is very important. it will be it will be very wrong to just assume that any data given to you is properly arranged and clean. So you have to take up responsibility to make sure you clean your data and preserve your data in a format that will be very useful for your database and give you safe entry. So to do that, the first thing that can easily be done and easily be spotted out is to identify duplicate data. Now, due to different and several entries of several entry officers, or maybe getting a questionnaire, uploading the files and all of that, it's possible that they might have duplicated the data. It's possible someone might have entered an entry before and not know he has entered it and enter it again. So the first thing you need to look out for is duplicate data. Now, in order to do that, you head up straight to the data menu, and if you look right here, you can see where we have remove duplicates. Remove duplicates. And you can click on remove duplicates. When you do that, it's going to select and highlight the whole column, and it's even telling you, where do you want to select the duplicates to be removed. You can choose to leave it at selecting all. You can choose to remove a particular column to select from and all of that. But now we just want to check if there are duplicates all across the whole workbook. So we allow it to do the default, and we click on OK. And it's telling you that one duplicate value found and removed. 46 unique value remains. Note that count may include empty cells and spaces, etc. Right? So it found one duplicate file. Now, how do we know which one is it? It didn't tell us which one it is, but since we know these data sets, right? If I undo that, we can see that we actually have Barack Obama here duplicating as 2, and that duplicate we did, or to remove the duplicate, allowed us to remove all the duplicate, right? Okay, so if we click and do again, we can select that and click on OK, and it duplicates the file, and we'll see that the Barack Obama is gone. That's the first step. Now, there are so many other things. We can go ahead to the second step, which is changing the cases of the letter. Now, we can see that these presidents are presidents that carry unique values, right? And we want to represent them in a real and good manner, right? And that is bringing us to that is bringing us to actually see and change what value they occur in, right? Okay, so we can choose to change their names and say, okay, we want them to have uppercase, we want them to be lower cases and all of that. And one of these things is one of the problems data analysts face, how to change cases. A lot of people don't know how to change cases in uh, Excel. So what I would do to do that, because I can't make the changes on this, the first thing I would do is to insert a new column. Sorry, I click on this because columns always insert to the left. So I have another new column here, and I can name this column, say president edited, right? So now what do I want to do? I can choose, depending on how your company requires the data, you can choose to leave it in uppercase, you can choose to leave it in lowercase, you can choose to be in proper case. Proper case is a case like this, where you have every first letter appearing as a capital letter. So we can choose to say equals to upper, select the text, close the parentheses, and click on enter, and it chooses all in uppercase. And we can just choose to draw downwards and see that everything appears in uppercase. We can choose to make these lower and run that and see that everything appears in lowercase. But I think the best one would be to leave it in proper case. So we can leave it at proper and run it down and see that everything is now in proper case. Now that's one side, and that is complete. We can also come to this prior, see that this prior contains a lot of information that is not actually really needed, right? And just look like a bunch of junk, and we don't actually need that proper case. If I go ahead and open it, this prior just contains a whole lot of information that might not be needed. So there is no predefined formatting for that. I'm going to leave that alone. And we come to this party, and we can see that this party has some unique values. We have some and all of that. So how do we get to know what to do with this, something, a data like this that has so different values and all of that? We can choose to apply a filter. We can choose to, okay, let me just control that. I can choose to select all and apply a filter. So I can choose to filter it by to select the different filters. Now we can see that we have democratic, Republican, democratic, we have a federalist, we have Republican, we have Republicans, we have Whig, and blank. So let's first start with the first one. I'm going to deselect all. So this Democratic Republican, I may not touch that because it looks like a valid party, because more than one values have that. So let's deal with this Democratic and Democratic. Looks like a typographical error. I can select the two and click on it. Now we can see that we have it like this. So we can look for which has the error. We can say that this has the error. This is Kartik, right? It has the error, and I can choose to copy it, and I can choose to copy and replace, and we'll see that they are both democratic. Now, if we look closely at this democratic, right, we'll discover that we are having these two values the same, right? Let me see, let me highlight them. These two values, this Woodrow Wilson and this other value, they are both having the same value. So we can even go back and run our duplicate data, right? Click on OK, and I'm very sure it's still going to find one more unique value and replace that. So okay, so those are things you can look out for to see if you can check. Now, why are we not looking at this Grover Cleveland and this? That's because both they have different priorities. That is, he ran for 2 tenures. That's why his name is appearing twice. They actually had different vices, and they ran for 2 tenures. So that is, we're not going to be concerned with that. So since we are done with this democratic, we can come back and choose another party. So we can see that the name has already not been duplicated again. We can choose to, we have Republican and Republicans. So which means that is also a typographical error, and we can see it like that. And with that being said, we can change this and change that to that, and we already have that sorted out. So we'll go to the next one, which is this wig and wig. Okay, so we can see that for so many reasons or for no reason, this just contains a whole bunch of nonsense that we don't need. So we can just choose to correct that, and we can see that that has been sorted out. This blank, well, let me see what this blank is. So this blank is just blank, right? Just contains some blank value, so we don't really have a problem with that. We can go back to selecting all, and we have all the thing properly done. So we are done with cleaning that data. We can move to the next one. We see device, right? That device is all scattered up. We have different spacing issues all over the vice, and the best way to do that, like we said in our previous tutorials, the best way to do that is to use the value called, let me give this column a name, vice edited. The formula to sort this out is the trim formula, if we remember, and we say equals to trim. Trim is going to be very useful because it removes the white spaces or the empty spaces in between text and gives you a properly gotten value. So if I'm going to do this, select trim and run it down, we see that it's so intuitive that it removes even spaces between lines, even spaces between letters, spaces before any empty space, and we have it all prepped out to be very, very clean. Then that's that for that. And we come to the next one, which is the salary. Now, when entering data into database, especially things that has to do with values of numbers, it's very important to make sure that the numbers goes into the database as a plain number, not as any format. If not, it's going to see it as a text, right? So if you're going to send this database now and it's going to be uploaded into the database, right? Not every time will your database see it as a number. Like for here now, the data is actually translating it as a number, but the format is coming out as a currency. But for you to be safe and sure, it's best you change the format. So we can go ahead and click on this and go back home. And since it's a text, we can choose the currency and change it to a number, right? But we still have this 00, so we can choose this to decrease the decimal and leave it as a number so that we are safe and sound that, okay, it's going to enter the database as a number and we are safe with that. Now we can come to the date values. Now date is something that we always give people problem, right? Date is something that we always give issues in the way it is being written and all of that. Now if you look closely at this date, we can see that we have this as a long date, we have this as a short date, and if we click on this date, we are seeing it here the way it is as a short date, whereas in reality it's showing here. So whenever you're trying to import the data, the database may not be able to recognize whether it's a short date or a long date. And it's up to you, the data analyst, to clean up the data and see how to get the format better into it. So without waste of time, that since we know it's just two values now, we can choose to select the whole column just as usual and change the date to a short date, right? Which means it's going to highlight everything. Now, why did I choose to? I can easily just come and highlight this to go ahead and change it to a short date, but because we don't know the different places in which the data might occur, that is why I am saying just select the whole column and apply that format across it so that we can get rid of anything that might occur. And that is basically all for that. But now we have to prepare this data for upload. We can see that places where we have this vice and the vice edited, we can see that we can't give it. We have to leave. We have to correct it and have only one value. So to do that, we want to copy this guy. So we'll click on it, Ctrl Shift down to highlight all, Ctrl C to select, and when we come here and we want to paste, if we paste it directly, we'll see that Ctrl C and come here and say Ctrl V. We see that if we paste it, it's giving us a different value because we are writing a formula that actually picks from a particular work. So we can't do that. So let's go back. So we have to find a way to, after we've copied it, click on a Control and come down, and we copy it, Ctrl C. We have to come back here, and when we want to paste it, we should click on our right click. Right, when right click, it brings up the option, and we'll come to this option that chooses paste as a value. Right, so we are pasting it as a value now, and that way it doesn't take the effect of this again. Right, so we can come here and now select this, right click on it and delete the column, and we have this safe. All right, so we can also come to this place and also do the same thing. Shift Control, our down arrow key to select all, Ctrl C to select, to copy, come here to the first column also, right click and click on paste value. I'll paste the value, and that is pasted. Then we can go ahead and delete this one, and we have it like this. Now, like I said, this guy contains information that we might not need, and henceforth it is probably not longer needed. It is very, very important to keep a copy of your original data set so that you don't end up messing the original one and having to try to find a new one when you don't have. So a very good practice is to always duplicate and have a copy of your original data set. I should have said that from the beginning. So it's to always have a copy of your data set first before you work with your data set. So right click, I delete this guy, and we have it all set. And okay, we have a column here that doesn't actually tell any story that we want, because it's just a duplicate value, and probably since it's gotten from the database or somewhere, it's just like an ID of some sort. So I can just right click and make do with that. So we have a more prepared data now: the serial number, the president, the party, the vice, salary, date of the day, and all of that. And this is how we have given our data set a standardized cleaning. We have cleaned this data, and wherever this data is going to be uploaded into or stored into, we are very sure that it's not going to give the database any issue. So it's very, very important as data analysts that when you see any data set, before you work with it, always try to clean it to be sure there are no duplicates, there are no wrong entries, there are no letters that need to be trimmed, the date formats are accurately correct, the payment infos are in number formats, and there are no duplicate records because of name and everything. So we have basically carried out all the exercise we've been talking about since the beginning of this tutorial, and this is the final one. In the next video, I'm going to be showing you a full project course on what not to do, and how to take a full project on a real live data set and work with it. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video.